I'm not convinced that an AI will replace a salesperson, a properly trained salesperson who can answer the right questions, understand what the customer is trying to get done, and be fair with the customer. AI is set up differently with that, I think, and customers still want to have somebody answer those questions.
Welcome back to The Transfer. We have another great conversation lined up today, and I'm very excited to be joined by Todd Edwards. Todd Edwards is a leader of Edwards Automotive Group. It's a family-owned business that has grown pretty significantly over the years. So first off, Todd, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you making the time to have this conversation. Would you mind doing a quick introduction? Give us a little bit of an overview about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me on here. Yes, I'm Todd Edwards. I live in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So most people probably don't know where that is, but that's I'm basically a suburb of Omaha, Nebraska, right smack dab in the Midwest. And born and raised here in Council Bluffs. And I've worked in the car business since graduating college. I went to college out at Utah Valley University, which is out west, about 1,000 miles away from here. And came back in December of 2008 during the Great Recession, and started working in my father's auto stores. And over the years, I've just worked in various positions, running different departments, and then started being a general manager of a store fairly early on in my career, and made a lot of mistakes and learned from those, made some good ones too. And then over time, we've grown the group to now we have about 625 employees.
Were you drawn to it more because you grew up in it? Or like, man, it's the recession. This is crazy, trying to find a job. What ultimately was like, I'm sticking with this in the family biz?
Great question. So I grew up with my father working in the car business. He was a junior partner for senior partners. And in the auto world, you have that a lot of time where you have a junior partner who's running the operations of a store or stores. And so he worked long hours. I never really got to see him at home during, regular daytimes or any of that. Oftentimes we'd have family dinner and then he would head back to the store. So I think when I went to college, he wanted us, as far as his children, to go to college to not be in the car business. He said that cars are just brutal. It's a lot of stress. Go get educated, go do something else. And so that was my intent. I think as I went in college, the problem, I think, growing up in the type of atmosphere I had was we talked a lot of business around family dinners and just in one-on-ones with him and all of that. So I had more of a business mindset. And I've always grown up with a passion of cars. I love cars. I have cars, and I love reading about them and talking to people about them. So it kind of made sense. I met my wife in college and we didn't have any money and we were going to get married. So I decided for the summer in between classes to come back, and we have a motorsports store that sells all the fun stuff, motorcycles and ATVs and side-by-sides and all that.
Perfect for a college kid, right?
Perfect for college kids. So in like in 06, I spent the summer selling in 06 and 07. Really, really liked it. Made good money in that short amount of time period, in that 6 or 7 weeks time that I would come home and do that. For a college kid, it was a lot of money, and said, man, I like that. And that was the direction I go. What's interesting is, yes, with the recession hitting, my professors, when they found out, in college what I was going to go do and move back to Iowa, they said, well, you're crazy, because yes, car dealerships were just they were in the tank, at that time. You had manufacturers going out of business. There was a lot of guys who were going broke and they couldn't find a buyer for their stores. They were losing them. So it was a very disruptive time. Thankfully, my dad has always been very conservative with a lot of his decisions. And, his stores were fine through all that. So yes, I started right in the middle of 2000, in that whole time period. And that was a very good thing, I think, to learn. Yeah, because the whole car business model changed a lot during that time period, which was good for me to do. So yeah, I started in our service department as a service advisor and learned that early on in my career.
So you've literally been in the bays doing the work now all the way up through, which honestly, it sounds like you had no better training ground, right? Coming in at that tough time, like you can't replicate that stuff in business classes. So kudos to your dad too for making sure everything was still set up for success even during tough times.
Yeah, and I give him credit for that. To give a little background, so he got to be an early dealer in Jimmy Carter era of presidencies.
Okay.
Jimmy Carter was a really nice president, but if you look at the economy during that time, the recession hit and you had interest rates above 18%. And he was a brand new auto dealer of a Lincoln, Mercury, AMC Jeep store, and Renault. If you could like remember all those, and he went broke. He went from having a paid for house, he had 3 kids, and he just couldn't make the store money. So he went from this paid for house to having to sell the house to get out of debts, and had to move in with his parents and start over with 3 kids.
Wow.
So we went from a high in a career of like, man, we're doing great. I've hit my stuff. And then holy crap, lost it all during that, time of really, really high interest rates, high gas prices. And so I think from that point on, when he built things back up with his career, he always pounded in our head, be very understanding that recessions come and you can go from thinking you're doing great to everything that you planned for just goes right down the toilet. And so very conservative with cash, very conservative with a lot of his decisions, and pounded that into my head.
And he got to 2008 and he's like, this is nothing.
Oh, that was bad. That was a pretty scary time, but yes, I mean,
he's like, I've seen this.
He had a lot of cash conserved during that time and used it to get through, which was what you do for it,
Yeah, you have to adapt with the shifts that come. So to that end, you think about now shifting to today, fast forward all these years, right? You've grown exponentially. What are some of the major shifts you're seeing that are demanding most of your attention as an owner right now? It could be anything, inventory, you name it.
Yeah, there's a few things. I think personnel relations are a lot with your staff. I think in the auto world, we had that time during COVID where income for not just the auto field, but a lot of people's income shot up. The hard thing is being in commission based, it ebbs and flows. And so as things have settled, what we're trying to figure out is how do we have a much better working environment for the people that work here. I think that's that balance of, okay, you have new technology. Can it help us maybe not need as many people, but the people that we have are able to be more productive and earn the type of money they are now used to, but they have to, sell more product or be more productive at their store. So it's this balance of how many people do we need versus how many people are we used to having.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hot topic with us, and we're constantly trying to balance that. And then I would say in this world, because interest rates are that 7%, give or take, market range, your cost of carrying inventory is much higher than the 3% that has been there for 20 years almost.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at a change like that, your outlook on inventory is drastically different. So days supply of inventory is a constant thing we track. So yeah, that's just a couple of things that we look at. And then disruption with technology. It seems like with AI coming out now, it reminds me of the time when Google search words were coming and everybody had this, I don't know, answer for Google search that they were using jargon that you'd never heard of and being very expert in it, but you didn't know which product was good and which product wasn't. That kind of reminds me of right now with all this different AI product coming out and everybody making all these promises that you have no idea, does it work or does it not?
Yeah. What does it mean? What does it do? I think you hit it on the head though. It's a lot to navigate. What's that journey been like for you? What's kind of worked well? What hasn't? I'd love to hear it. Unpacking some of those real world stories or attempts even is, can't hurt in trying to kind of navigate this new world that a lot of us are in.
Yeah, good question. So we have 7 auto stores. That's how we look at it when we have a general manager who runs each store. And it seems like there was a period earlier in this year that it's like every month a GM was coming to us saying, hey, got this AI company and I want to run with them and try it. They can do all these things for me. And early on, we were like, okay, well, let's see how that goes. And a lot of the implementation just failed miserably.
Oh,
It
were
did
they all
not.
different systems or
Yeah,
like loved you to
different companies.
just too many different, like, what was it for? Lead generation, CRM? Like, what were they?
A lot of it was customer interaction. So you
Okay.
have these AI companies coming and saying, we will use this system, and it will interact on behalf of the store with the customer, whether they're calling in to schedule a service appointment, to get a part quote, or for a newer used car question. And they go, our system can do all these things. And look, here's where you're lacking because your current, employees aren't answering the questions that customers are asking, or their customers are waiting on the phone too long or getting transferred around. So they're saying their system can come and we can solve all of these problems with you. So a GM is like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That obviously customer interaction needs to be better. I'm relying on human ability to handle it. And
Yeah.
part of my job is managing human error with my employees and trying to get them to improve. So when you say, well, you have this computer system that doesn't really make errors and handles it, that sounds really good.
Silver bullet.
Yes, silver bullet, and it only costs you, a fraction of what you spend on an employee, in a month. So it all sounds good. The problem when you implement it, I mean, it can be very disastrous. So this AI system has to learn whatever it is the customers are acting. It gets better over time, but you're going to have customers be completely mishandled, misplaced, told things that are incorrect, and it's just something that I think what we've learned, and we put a stop to a lot of that early on, of like, if you're going to have that type of program, the general manager themselves has to daily check in with that program to monitor and babysit it, and almost baby step this thing to where it progresses to where it's kind of handling what you envisioned it. It's still not able to do it fully, but it's doing better than what it started out doing.
And how do you get everyone, because you have multiple locations, right? So you don't really want everybody on different tools or systems too. Like, you want it somewhat integrated, because in theory, the questions, maybe it's different car makes, models, all of that, but you're still handling the same kind of customer scenarios each time. Is there like a unification of it, or just like, hey, this store, their solution's been the best, let's focus in on that to streamline? Or was it just, it's your baby, go watch it?
Yeah. So we put a stop to it all, and we picked two employees that would be the vetting people of these companies, because it was just so difficult, early on. In the car business, you have this multi-generational layers of employees. Probably that you have in most other retail businesses, where you have very seasoned people that have been doing things a certain way for a long time and have seen success with it. And then you have the current generation, new generation of employees that are wide open to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And
Want to try new tools. Yep.
try new tools and learn different ways and view things differently. And so when you try to implement technology in this type of magnitude, it can be received completely different. So yes, we have vetted it differently. We recognize, I think there's certain ways that AI in certain departments can help. And then there's other ways where we feel like it's just too early on to do what we think. I'm not convinced that an AI will replace a salesperson, a properly trained salesperson who can answer the right questions, understand what the customer is trying to get done, and be fair with the customer. AI is set up differently with that, I think, and customers still want to have somebody answer those questions. But if you're calling to schedule an appointment, I think customers are okay with, for service, to talk to an AI agent that they don't have to wait or get to somebody. It's much faster. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the consumer's a lot savvier sometimes than we give them credit for. There's certain interactions where they know that they're, talking to an automated system and it's totally fine. But sometimes you want a human to go in, to go see, to be accountable for. So it's a real fine balance, right? Of what's that handoff, and where do we allow technology to make things more efficient, and where does it just say, nope, this now we hand it off to the right person to take it to the next step. And integrating that into your current sales systems and processes, I'd imagine that's got to be a challenge too. Is that something that is consistent across your locations, or is even that something that's different where technology slotting in could have a totally different kind of integration versus the way they're selling over in the other location?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you one example. We have I would say like a larger volume Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram store in an affluent area of the metro, and the general manager really believed in this AI company, and they implemented them to be fully integrated with the sales process, meaning this AI system would handle the customer's interactions for the first couple of days. If the customer was interacting back and forth.
Okay.
When they went live with that for that month, the total sales just tanked at that store for that month. I mean, it was very interesting and shocking for us. So we changed that parameter, because then the salesperson doesn't really know, when am I supposed to interact and when is the AI system not supposed to interact. So it's this merging of the two.
Yeah.
And when you have salesperson hesitate because you don't want to have too many people talk to a customer, then you get, I think, a less result. So we did change that, obviously a month into it, and got much better results the next month. And I think customers were more appreciative of it. I think if a customer is calling to schedule a routine service appointment and they can get right to it, get their time slot done, that's fine. I'll talk to an AI agent. But when I'm asking certain questions and you're still not answering my question, that gets old. So how do we balance all of that? How do we get through quickly, to find what's a very menial task that I think AI can do, and then when does the human interaction come in?
Yeah, I think that's what you are very much on a journey many others I think are experiencing right now. I think there's opportunity when you talk about like the service part of it, right? That's something, just even using AI to predict when you need your next, service for your vehicle. You're due for this, you're due for that, and being able to just push someone an email, shoot them a text reminder. That's the stuff where I think it's really helping the customer, because it's not the things you think about, right? That's where it can be really powerful, to your point. And then, hey, we'll get you set up and scheduled, no problem. Those are things where I think that's a huge opportunity, right, to help people. And you've got all the data on the customer's vehicle, their mileage. So all that starts to become really powerful to predict the next thing they may need, things like that. So,
yeah, I think the thing that I struggle with, Carolyn, is like, as the auto dealership in the service world, we invest heavily into our equipment. We invest heavily into our techs to make sure they're trained, so they actually know we're the backstop. If an independent shop can't figure out what's wrong with your car, because a customer goes to them first because they think it's cheaper, that's fine, maybe it is, but they bring it to the dealer to figure out what is really happening.
mm-hmm.
So let's say in your perception, I'm charging you a premium for the service that I provide. If you can't get through to me in a very straightforward way and AI is preventing that, and if I'm trying to do that to cut corners and save costs, where's the balance factor with that? And I think for me, I want to have a very good balance factor with it, because my pricing, I feel like, is to my current market. I'm not priced crazy high compared to everybody else. I'm priced right in with everybody. But I think for a customer's perception is when they go to the dealer to get something resolved for their car, they expect a certain level of knowledge to be delivered to them in a very timely manner.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's where are we at in the service journey? A text update of still in the bay working on it, that can be awesome. But once you get there and you have to tell them something's wrong, Bob the mechanic better be coming out and having that conversation, right? Because you're like, what do you mean? And to your point on like cutting corners with technology, you don't want that perception to be, oh, they're going to cut corners on servicing my vehicle, right? This is the thing that gets me around, and I drive my most precious cargo, my family, around in that, so certainly that balance, as you said, is something that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I think what AI can do, in my ideal world, versus at a store, normally, if a store's selling, let's call it 130 cars a month between new and used. Well, the old way is I need to have at least 15 to 16 salespeople to get that done because of schedules and time off and Maybe 3 of those salespeople are brand new to the industry, so they're not going to sell like your normal seasoned person is. You have this kind of turnover as well. Where I think AI can come in the future is be kind of a personal assistant to each salesperson. AI is there kind of reminding them to do everything, doing the menial things that you're talking about of staying in front of customers. But when there's an actual question, the salesperson comes in to handle that. Follow up after the sale. I envision it as being the perfect assistant where you're looking at it is, will businesses be more productive with AI? That is my hope.
That also maintains the important human touch that I think is still very vital to the automotive industry. There's certain roles for it. How do you use it to like analyze your phone calls with customers? There's tools out there now where it can give you feedback on all the calls. What are you doing right? What aren't you doing? And those are things that can enable your sales force to do better the next time. There's something that's powerful, but that is all just analysis, right? Things you could never do before, analyzing and aggregate hundreds of calls, hundreds of minutes of conversations, give someone better closing percentages, more real-time feedback to close a deal or get the person in the dealership sooner than later. So yeah, I think it's a practical perspective. I know you're cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic about it. Yes, I would say that is probably a definition of what I am. Yeah.
Well, I think you've had some, good reason to be in as you described, trying things, and you have to try sometimes and learn and go, okay, we're not gonna do that this time over here. We're gonna take a whole different approach, but you're navigating something completely new. So the fact that you're putting yourself in the game and trying some different things, though, I think is, there's a lot to be said for that, because then it can feel a little unknown. So
Yeah.
give
I think
yourself some kudos there for that.
Well, thank you. I think one big avenue that I'm excited for, if it can work out, dealership groups, small, medium, or large, have kind of always been hindered by the technology that a vendor provides. Because I'm a car dealer, I'm not a computer programmer. I don't know how to go and hire one. I don't know how to do all of that. And so the auto world is so full of a lot of vendors doing all these little things that you need done. I think what AI could do in the future, in my world, is, as the company grows and your revenue grows and you need certain things produced, I can then get that done in the reality of AI, where you can effectively create things, I think, a lot faster for programming and reporting on your own without necessarily having to rely on all of these vendors to do. And I can create those tools myself.
Yeah.
And I think that'll happen in other businesses as well. But, for me, it would be really nice in the future to be able to produce and create things that help me and my company to do better, whether it be handling, a data deciphering or managing of certain things so that I can handle it internal and not have to let a vendor use it. I mean, there's just a lot of different, I think, things that AI could do in the future that would be wonderful.
Yeah, no, you hear a lot about, and particularly in this industry, like our CRM doesn't connect with our DMS, and there's so many different things that become a part of your tech stack but they're separate. And that, the stitching together, if you don't have one all-in thing, right, which that's probably where we're going to start to go, like you're saying, right, more holistic things or more things that I can bring together on my own and connect so that it's core for my business. I think that's kind of where we're at in the challenge of this moment. There's just every day there's that new thing, right? You saw it with your GMs coming to you every day with, let me talk to this person, let me talk to that person. But then you have disparate systems that it just essentially creates silos across, and you want the data flowing, right? So you want to be able to kind of look at a customer from when they came in, purchase their car, multiple vehicles, to then the service side of things, really understand that lifetime value. And I think you're right. I don't think we're far off of some of that in the world today. So
that's my hope, because yes, I mean, the silo effect, I think, one, it bogs down the performance of your digital tools. I think dealer websites are much slower than what consumers are used to, because there's so much bots for tracking and put on by whether it be vendors or the manufacturer. There's just a lot of things that are there that are siloed that you have to go to this person for, go to this company for to find out. And so my hope is to break some of that over the course of the years coming.
So what's something that, we talked about some challenges, pain points. What's something where you're like, man, we're doing really well with this right now that you're like super excited about or proud of?
Well, it's tough. I think in my mindset, I always look at what needs to be done better.
Mhm.
So that's probably not a great quality on my end, but I'm working on it. But I would say I think we have progressed as a company far better as far as the interaction with the customer, doing transactions with the customer on their terms more, trying to speed up that transaction process and time, and then a much better quality delivery of the product. I would say I'm very proud of the strides that we've made as a company over the last 5, 6, 7 years of increasing our customer satisfaction, not in just sales, but in service, and then trying to speed up the time to get a deal done for a customer. We're not there. Customers want it done faster. I recognize that. But I think we've done leaps and bounds better. And then I would say also the support that we have put in for our service departments and for our technicians are, for the most part, we have one building that we can't, but all of our service buildings now are air conditioned. And there's a lot of, believe it or not, that's like, it doesn't happen a lot in the auto world, as they think, well, I can't, I'm not going to AC the shop. The techs are just fine in it. But
yeah, the doors are open, closing the whole time. It's total waste of money. I could totally
correct
efficiency play on that one. Let's let it.
We try to do everything possible to get a better work environment for our technicians. We do a December bonus for them based off the total hours that they've accumulated over the year. We set that money aside for them. We're trying to keep technicians happy in our store so that when customers come for their cars, we have the right people to fix, those cars. So I will say we've drastically reduced turnover and increase, I think, customer satisfaction, and specifically in the service and parts department at our company. I'm pretty proud of that one.
It sounds like you're doing it starting with the staff, making sure people feel valued and have what they need.
Yeah. I think some of that was getting the GMs to do weekly meetings in the shop, which they were very nervous to do, because talking to a service technician is completely different than talking to a salesperson.
Oh yeah.
Completely different personality. And a technician candidly can go and get a job anywhere. And it really doesn't impact them. They don't have a clientele list necessarily. If a salesperson leaves, they may lose on some of that. Technician can go and get a job if they're a good technician at any other shop. And so my job is to do everything I can to keep them wanting to be with us and be fair with them and give them opportunities to get the job done while they're here and enjoy their time when they're not at the shop. So
right. So as one kind of final question, as we look to wrap up, looking ahead another 12 months down the road, where do you hope to be with your business? You could kind of wave a wand.
Yeah.
Man, this is a problem you fix, or just a hope you have for Edwards.
A couple things. I would say adopting more of a customer first business interaction with them. We've kind of pinpointed 4 purchase options for the customer. If they could just tell us which one they prefer, then we accommodate. We're trying to get that rolled out and implemented at our stores. So if you're a customer that, hey, I know exactly what I want to get the price done, and then have you physically deliver to me the car on the back of a truck, which we have now, do that, and we'll just accommodate you there. If you want to do partially, where you're coming and going in the store and we bring the car out to you, all that stuff, I would really like to get that fully implemented over the next 12 months. And then really, I would say, with some of our brands, increase the total new car volume out of at some of our stores over the next 12 months. And I think we'll get there. The other one of getting everybody pulling in the direction of accommodating the customer fully on their terms of what they want to do. That takes some time. I mean, that's changing a lot of, habitual nature of trying to control everything as a retailer. And you've got to understand that technology has changed that. I mean, customers want certain things in a certain way, and they can get them at the touch of a finger, and we need to respond to that and respect it and be totally fine with that. And we'll get there. And In
So
12
kind of
months,
like a hybrid model.
yes, yes, a hybrid model of if you want to come in and do it like we've always done it, great. If you don't, we will fully accommodate whatever it is you're doing and be fair with you.
Yeah. Well, best of luck with that. I think it's like you said, it's all very doable, but it's a mindset shift. Starts kind of from that top down leadership going, no, we're going to meet the customer where they are on that journey.
Correct, correct. And I think we'll get there. I do. And I'm excited for that journey.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to kind of wrap us up here. Todd, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and share your insights. I love your kind of cautiously optimistic perspective on technology and also just the real world examples you were able to bring to it. So if people are looking for anything from an automotive standpoint, where can they find you and your dealerships?
If you're ever in the Omaha, Nebraska metro, you look us up. We're at just edwardsautogroup.com. This is our 40th year in business. So we're pretty excited for that, proud of that. And, for me, I'm just trying not to screw things up and keep the momentum going. And yeah, appreciate you taking the time and wanting to discuss. And like I said, I'm no expert for a lot of these things, but cautiously hoping for better use of the technology. Yeah.
Well, I think you've got another solid 40 years ahead of you for sure. Well, thank you again. And that wraps us up for this episode of The Transfer.